Jared Bully here for CreativeStandup.com. I wanted to quickly reach out because I've been hearing I've been getting the same emails over and over again about what you need to do as a comedian. Like what do I need to do in order to write better punchlines, or what do I need to do in order to get a better subject for writing? And there's so much of this focus that's being placed on what we need to do. And for a new comedian, that's understandable. You have no idea which direction to go. You need some kind of clear path. But the problem is that with this over focus on how much on the what that we're focusing on what is a perfect punchline, what does that look like, what's the structure of it. If you are really worried about the what, then it's very difficult to be a good writer at all. It'll be really hard for you to write into a perfect punchline. So if that's what you're after, then it's going to be very difficult for you. You're always going to be struggling with writer's block. And it'd be the same thing if a veteran comedian were to say, okay, here's what a perfect punchline looks like. How do I write something that will that'll fit into that idea of a perfect punchline? And that's not the right way to go about it. Instead of thinking about what I need to write, you need to be getting into the same mental state that you're in when you're at your funniest. So here's what I tell people to do. Instead of sitting down at the computer and trying to, okay, let's say you have something funny happens while you are with your friends outside. Then you come back to write it all down, and you find that it's no longer funny. And the reason is because when you were actually being authentically funny, you were in a different mindset when you're with your friends. If you're with your friends, you're not like, what's the perfect punchline look like for this situation? You know, if your friend sets you up for a joke, you just hit it out of the park right away. You don't stop and think about, okay, well, the word placement or the length of a line. None of that ever takes place in your mind. And yet, you are much more funny when you are with your friends, when you are not thinking about the perfect punchline, than when you come back to the computer and you start thinking, okay, what does the perfect punchline look like? Or what is the right way to phrase my setup? It's very difficult to get into a fun, playful mood when that is the kind of thoughts that you're having. So instead of thinking so much about what you need to do, what kind of setup would be perfect here? What kind of punchline should I try? How long should that punchline be? Instead of thinking about that, you need to get into that mental state where you're at your funniest again. And then when you do that, many of these ideas will naturally be inside of your material. So you'll write into it, but you'll do it more subconsciously or more by accident. Because what your real focus on is, in the same way that when you're with your friends, your real focus is on the story. And when you're focused on the story, you tell great stories. And that's a part of being a comedian. The setup lines are not supposed to be boring. The setup lines aren't just, okay, hold on, I have 3 setup lines, and then I'll tell you a punchline. And the audience is like, okay, well, you're wasting 75% of my time. The setups should be fun as well. You are a storyteller. You just happen to be emphasizing the humorous aspect of storytelling.